open contact and the actual physical introduction of extraterrestrials that have been assisting us for many decades will actually be publicly introduced.
Darryl Anka, who is the most legendary channel on the planet. He channels an entity that goes by the name Bashar, who is a first contact specialist.
ETs are now simply revealing themselves in a new cycle, which seems to happen every several thousand years. This is kind of like a major point of evolution where I think they will be coming back and they will be staying.
A lot of prophecies say that this is the end of the world as we know it. Is this something that Bashar has communicated to you?
Yes, he would say it's the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new cycle, the reset of humanity.
They come here, right? And they're a part of our world. What changes with our religion, our government?
Everything ultimately changes. They've been watching us for millions and millions of years.
Are we going to watch a large part of our people have a painful disillusionment?
We're being upgraded to meet them halfway because they're operating on such high frequencies, it would freak us out. The primitive sections of our brain react to the frequency of an extraterrestrial operating near the vibration that represents spirit, as if we are exposed to a frequency that says we're about to die. People just think it's a matter of, it's a physical being and we're a physical being, so what's the problem? Yeah. But it's not. They will actually give us holographic representations of our lost history. So we'll be able to see, what did Atlantis look like? What did the dinosaurs look like? Because they have recordings of all of this.
Whoa.
Because they've been watching us for millions and millions of years. Physical reality, while a real experience, is not in itself a real place. It's a projection of consciousness. The bottom line from Bashar's point of view is follow the formula. It contains everything you need to prepare yourself for everything that's going to happen.
Just a little bomb drop at the end right there.
Shit's about to get weird.
Welcome to the Acid for Squares podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Dahl.
And I'm Cody Blue. And on today's episode, we have a long anticipated episode. We have returning to the show, Darryl Anka, who is the most legendary channel on the planet, if I do say so myself. He channels an entity that goes by the name Bashar, who is a first contact specialist. And Darryl, thank you for being on the show, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And, for those who did not watch the first episode that we did with Darryl,
go watch it.
It is our most viral episode that we've ever done. And
people online are like, this is the best episode I've ever seen with Darryl. Like, what the heck? Because we covered so many topics.
Yeah, it's true. It's episode 10 if you want to go check it out, because we're going to take off where we left off. And in the last episode, we focused on channeling, Darryl's story, and a lot of the spiritual phenomena of the messages that Bashar has brought to him. We really covered everything.
We even covered like demons and all kinds of stuff, the soul and reincarnation.
Yeah.
All the good stuff.
So this is how we want to start.
So nothing is left.
Nothing.
So we're just going to hang out?
Yeah. We actually rewatched it to see. And we were like, wow, we really just covered it all. So this is how we want to start this off.
Yes.
Okay. So many religions believe that it is the end times, right? It's not necessarily what we believe, but many people believe that. But a lot of prophecies say that this is the end of the world as we know it, but a new world and a new paradigm is being birthed in its place. So we would like to start off by asking you, is this something that Bashar has communicated to you?
Yes. He wouldn't necessarily say it's the end times. He would say it's the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. A lot of people, other psychics, have referred to it as the reset of humanity over about 3 decades, from like 2020 to 2050, where humanity is being, in a sense, guided in a new direction. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we are about to have open contact also in the next few years with extraterrestrials. That will help accelerate our evolution in a new direction so that ideally by around the end of those 3 decades, humanity will be on a new course and will be moving in a more positive direction. So, yeah, the end of an old cycle, the beginning of a new cycle.
How do people prepare and navigate for this time, this metamorphosis, this contact that's coming that you're saying is 2027? Am I correct?
Yes.
2027.
As it stands now. Yeah, it could shift a little tiny bit, but generally in the next couple of years, 2027 seems to be the focal point for disclosure and open contact on a number of different fronts. Because if people are noticing, there are more and more congressional hearings about UFOs. There are more hearings about bringing whistleblowers out, telling what they know, about making sure that military people are not going to lose their jobs by coming forward and talking about their UFO experiences and things like that. So that to me is a very strong sign that we're getting close to a lot of that information coming out in public. It's time for that, I think. And so my understanding from Bashar and from other sources is that open contact and the actual physical introduction of extraterrestrials that have been assisting us for many decades, working behind the scenes to help us go in a certain more positive direction, will actually be publicly introduced. This is what's been happening, and here they are, and this is where we can go from here.
Okay.
Wow.
Has he talked at all about like a single event or a choice or something like that that has to be made before they can actually make contact?
Well, I think it'll happen in phases. I think just the idea of getting used to the possibility is one of the important steps. More and more information about it coming out. I mean, for a long time, I've been talking about this as kind of like the biggest secret that everyone already knows, because it's kind of like when you talk to kids nowadays and stuff, it's like to them, the whole idea of, extraterrestrial contact is nothing new as a concept. And most of the kids that are alive today that are of a certain age have always been alive when we've been in space. So, it's not unusual for them to think that there could be other people in space that could come and meet with us. And then with the plethora of TV shows and movies that have been talking about aliens and parallel realities and portals.
That's true.
I mean, it's just flooded into our culture at this point. So I don't think a lot of people will be that surprised when somebody officially says, yeah, look, here's an ET.
Right.
Right. And this is what we can gain from them. So in terms of preparation, just knowing about all this stuff, just being, inundated with a lot of this stuff is part of the preparation. But also, as Bashar says, when he talks about things like the formula, following your passion in certain ways, following the instructions of how to live a more positive, creative, and constructive and loving life, that upgrades your vibrational frequency. It upgrades your frequency to make you more vibrationally compatible with other beings who might also be operating on a much higher frequency level, like theoretically a lot of the extraterrestrials that we are and have been engaging with for a long time. Now, the thing that's kind of ironic about the concept of open contact is that when we talk about that, we're really talking about the revelation of the existence of ETs to Western society, because indigenous cultures around the world have known that ETs exist. It's been part of their culture for thousands of years. So that's nothing new to them. So we're really talking about the latecomers, which is Western society, coming into the understanding that ETs have always been here and are now simply revealing themselves again in a new cycle, which seems to happen every several thousand years, where they kind of come back, they interact with humanity, see where humanity is going, and kind of help us up the ladder a little bit more. But I understand this is kind of like a major point of evolution where I think they will be coming back and they will be staying, because we will be now at a point where we're ready to integrate into their society, to integrate them into our society, and move forward as a species in a new direction.
So what? Okay, so
Yeah.
what happens? They come here. Here we are again.
Here we are again. Have you learned any lessons?
Okay, so they come here, right? And they're a part of our world. What changes with like our religion, our government? Like what do you
what does this look like?
What does this look like?
Everything ultimately changes in hopefully more beneficial ways for everybody. My understanding is that there will be more spirituality rather than religion by 2050. It won't be so much the idea of ritualizing your connection to source, but having a more direct relationship with it, which is more spiritual rather than religious. If people want to hold on to a religious ritual, I don't think the ETs will care. Again, it's more all about what's beneficial for everyone. You know, it's not about forcing someone to believe this or believe that. It's about what works, what allows people to thrive, what allows humanity to evolve. So I think, you know, all of our institutions will probably take slightly different forms. Obviously, we will eventually become part of a galactic community, a galactic government, for lack of a better term. I think, you know, all of our social institutions will probably advance and evolve. Now, I don't think every single person or every single country is going to immediately jump into that. I'm sure there will be a number of different reactions, both positive and negative. And there may be some organizations and countries and groups that will not necessarily dive into it right away. But I think over time, over the couple of decades after open contact, I think people will start to see the benefits of interacting with advanced extraterrestrial beings. And I think they will realize that if they don't kind of come on board, they're going to be left in the Stone Age after a while, because humanity will bypass them. So I think ultimately over the next couple of decades, humanity will be more united. We will have different systems that will help benefit everyone, you know, less political division, less belief system division. The aliens are going to show us a lot of things to help straighten out a lot of our misconceptions about things. One of the things Bashar has always said, and which has been reinforced by a couple of other psychic mediums, is that when extraterrestrials are made public, they will actually give us holographic representations of our lost history. So we'll be able to see what actually happened on this planet. Like, we'll be able to see, what did Atlantis look like? What did the dinosaurs look like? Because they have recordings of all of this because they've been watching us for millions and millions of years.
Are we a TV show?
We're not a TV show, but we are kind of an advanced university for the soul. Because there's a lot of things here that are very, very much more dense than a lot of other places in the universe. A lot of more polarity is experienced here more deeply. And so it's a place where souls come, in a sense, to experience opportunities for great transformation, from going to great darkness to light, negative to positive, limitation to freedom. So it's, from Bashar's perspective, this is like a master graduating class. This is where souls come to really stretch themselves and really advance and really learn how to master the idea of transformation. And so it's very important, I think, also to the ETs, because, you know, it would be like losing, if Earth, like, you know, and humanity destroyed itself, it would be like losing a master university for the cosmos, because this is a place where souls learn very quickly. And this aids and assists extraterrestrials in understanding how things can be done. You know, we're not the only planet to learn from what we're experiencing here.
Wow.
Again, I think this is the time when they're going to say, okay, look, kind of enough fooling around. You have to kind of get your act together. And it's almost like, you know, all the humans are experiencing all of this chaos right now and all this division right now, kind of just to get everything out on the table so we can really make choices that we really prefer, as opposed to just kind of like frittering everything away and losing ourselves in the chaos. And I think it's kind of time for for lack of a better term, it's kind of time for the adults to enter the room
Yeah.
We need the adults.
and say, that's enough, guys, you know.
Is if we take inventory of the protocols that have been taking place over time from what we can perceive, right? They make themselves known and they disappear, right? We start to become aware of them and we expand our consciousness. We ask questions and we begin to practice and study the art of connecting and inducing the phenomenon, right? People have been abductions, whether they remember or they don't. People claim to be getting upgrades and healings. One of the most prominent things we see is people in medicine ceremonies interacting with the star people or ETs. Typically, they provide healings. Often they show visions of that we are them or we are the aliens.
Yes, we're genetically connected. We're family.
Yeah, I guess the question is so contact's been happening. Can you parse through the difference between contact as it's been and what mass contact will look like? Are we talking about like sort of the cliche of like them landing on the White House lawn? Are we going to be sitting with an ET sitting in our podcast studio at some point and being like, yeah, we're here?
I think that's possible. I don't know that they will do a mass landing. I think at first, like I said, it'll be in phases. First, they might start showing us their ships more closely so that they'll be literally on the 11 o'clock news. Like, this is undeniable. Look, here's a ship. This has now been photographed clearly. They're here. They will maybe show themselves for extended periods of time, hovering over an area or over the ocean or something where they're non-threatening, but we have no way of denying that that's there. Yeah. And I think eventually then it will be something along the line of some official press conference or something like that, where it's like, okay, this is what's been happening. Disclosure will happen. Here's the information. And at the end of the information, here is an ET. And they will start talking to us and start presenting their point of view as to what's happening here, to get us used to it. So again, I think they will realize they have to do it in phases that allow us time to acclimate, time to absorb what's being said, and time to absorb the understanding that they've been here all this time and what they've been doing.
Right.
My understanding is that, well, you have to realize there are several different kinds and levels of extraterrestrials that we've been dealing with. And one of the kinds we've been dealing with are typically what are called hybrids, many of which look enough like us that we wouldn't recognize them walking down the street. Again, because we're genetically connected. My understanding is that many, many hybrids have already been working with us in our societies. We don't know who they are yet. They know who they are. But they have been brought here and they have been doing things to help move things forward in scientific endeavors, in political endeavors, in social endeavors. They're working behind the scenes, but they are already here.
Wow.
One of the things that will happen in contact is revealing who they are. So that then we can realize, okay, these beings have been among us and now we actually get to know who they are and we get to talk to them. But then other groups of extraterrestrials, most likely Pleiadians, who are similar enough to us that we won't freak out by looking at them, even though they might look a little different, then they will be introduced. And bit by bit, we'll be introduced to more and more extraterrestrials, most of which probably don't look exactly like us. But we'll have already gotten used to the fact that there are extraterrestrials that have been among us, helping us for decades. Now that we know who they are, we can kind of go up the scale of, okay, who's next? Okay, who's next? Okay, who's next?
Whoa.
And my understanding is that from the abduction phenomenon, a lot of the hybrids that have been created, the hybrid children that people say are the product of that abduction phenomena, also many of which have already been introduced into our society through adoption agencies. Because no one knows, where does that baby come from?
Oh my gosh.
Right? So a hybrid left on the doorstep of an adoption agency gets adopted into a family who has no idea they have just adopted an extraterrestrial hybrid.
Oh my God. It's like when people that were once homophobic, they're like, my child is gay and I love them. And they wave the LGBTQ flag. You know what I mean?
Soon they find out they're hybrids.
My child is a
That's
hybrid.
so smart.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
In a sense, contact has already occurred. We just haven't been made completely aware of how it has occurred. But that's why they're saying basically, look, you've already gotten used to us. We've been here. So now it's not such a big leap to say, oh, that's who you are. Okay, that's what you are. Okay, and I don't have to freak out because you've been my neighbor for 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Right? And you haven't come to eat me or control me or anything like that. Yeah, I'm just here and I just happen to not be born on this planet.
Whoa. So we just had a molecular biologist on the show.
Yes.
We just interviewed him. His name's Dr. Max Rempel. And he is become famous. He's been in the press for doing a study on normies and abductees. And he found non-parental DNA, a significant amount. And that he believes it is proof of alien or ET intervention and alteration of our genetic code, right? Which we all know is going on.
Right.
But the most fascinating thing is that he says that people with ADHD, autism, Asperger's, and specific neurodivergences are essentially, that is a byproduct of the mutation, which is essentially,
Could be.
One of the essential things we've learned since we've last had you on the show, like a theme that's been emerging, is that it seems that these neurodivergences are an evolutionary mutation towards extrasensory perception.
Yes.
And
telepathy.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I think we are being exposed to through souls that choose to come into bodies that are that way, because we have to learn to communicate with them in a very different way. And exposure to higher frequency extraterrestrials will help humanity evolve towards psychic functioning and telepathy, because that's how they operate. So having neurodivergent children and autistic children who are already capable of psychic functioning, telepathic functioning, is a way of, again, it's coming from both sides. It's coming from souls who are born that way to teach humanity how to communicate in a different way telepathically, and coming from the hybrid children who will come to live and are coming to live among us, because that's the generation that will propel humanity forward in the next couple of decades. So they're coming at it from both directions.
Whoa. Okay.
If that is so, we feel like what this implies is that people think contact, like they're coming to us. But obviously what they've been doing has been making alterations in our frequency so we can meet them, almost like more of a merging of the worlds.
Yeah.
And our thought is that in order for this initiation, merging of worlds to happen, that being open and upgraded to this evolutionary mutation, this mutation is in the direction of the medium, of the channel, of telepathy and precognition and, astral travel. It's in that direction. And we've just been seeing in the people like yourself who have been going first, like a precursor, the evolutionary mutation, like it's the evolutionary direction our people are going in.
Yes.
And this is what the new world will look like. It will look like where we all operate and are tapping in and are to these frequencies and using these parts of our being.
Yes. This is what Bashar has always been saying, is contact is the result of meeting us halfway. And this is part of what he means, is we're being upgraded to meet them halfway, to become more like them, so that we're vibrationally compatible with contact. Because if we weren't being upgraded, if we weren't upgrading ourselves, if souls were not choosing to be upgraded in new incarnations, we wouldn't be vibrationally compatible with expanding into the cosmos with the extraterrestrials that are already there, because they're operating on such high frequencies. It would freak us out. We wouldn't be able to relate. We wouldn't be able to exist in that frequency with them unless we up our own frequency. Because people just think it's a matter of, it's a physical being and we're a physical being, so what's the problem?
Yeah.
But it's not. They're operating on a level where they're almost interacting on the level of spirit. And that's why sometimes people freak out when they encounter an ET of high frequency is I'll just use it this way. The primitive sections of our brain react to the frequency of an extraterrestrial operating near the vibration that represents spirit, as if we are exposed to a frequency that says we're about to die. So we go into fight or flight. We go into survival mode. We get scared. Fear comes up because being exposed to that frequency translates to our brain as I'm about to die. So that's why we have to get over our fear of death. We have to raise our vibrational frequency. We have to understand, in a sense, there is no such thing as death. We simply keep going in a different form. And it's letting go of that idea that will make us far more vibrationally compatible with ETs who are vibrationally operating near the frequency that represents spirit.
So you had mentioned how it's like, okay, to start off as like ships will start appearing in the sky and stuff like that, which is already happening.
Yeah, more and more.
So have you like heard anything about 3i Atlas?
Yes, Bashar has said it's a comet. It is a
comet.
comet. It is an unusual comet from outside the solar system. It does have extraterrestrial technology on it for observational purposes, scientific purposes, being studied, but it is not itself a ship. However, since it is the third interstellar object we have noticed, right? The first being Oumuamua, the second being Borisov, and the third one being Atlas, 3i, third interstellar object, Atlas. It's giving us practice to prepare us to get used to the idea that things are coming in to our solar system from outside our solar system. So it's a pattern that we're getting used to because people have questioned, is this an ET ship? It's not, but it's practice to get used to the idea that at some point it will be. So we've had 3 opportunities so far to recognize that things can come into our solar system from outside. Now, there probably have been many more. We just haven't observed them or noticed them. But we have noticed 3 now. And therefore, we're getting used to looking and going, where does this come from? It's coming from outside. What is it? Could it be?
And very slowly.
Yeah. Could it be an ET ship? Basically, that's just giving us, again, more preparation to accept the fact that we can receive things from outside our solar system.
That makes total sense. And we said the same thing. We had so many people calling us, asking us. We're like, no. And they were like, they expected us to be like, oh, of course it's real. Like, this is what we're into. And we're like, no, they're already here. Okay. Yeah. They're already here. They've been here. It's an interdimensional phenomenon. They're phasing in our reality. Like I'm like, and we said the same thing. We said, because it's like how you would introduce a child to it. Here it comes. What is it? Is it maybe? Oh, right. It's not. Oh, okay. Well, and then you look inside. Oh, maybe I did want that to happen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Maybe, we're like,
exactly.
Yeah. And because we've had the experience you're talking about where the vibration is so high in the spirit, and you do such a great job describing it. Like when it happened, my thoughts, I'm very used to having a busy brain unless I'm meditating. I watched my thoughts melt. Like I literally, and it felt like dying. And I can never describe my thoughts, like I couldn't even think in this density. Like it was an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And it's also an opportunity for the ETs to have another way of observing our reaction to things, because like you said, a lot of people are going, oh, it's a comet. I wanted it to be an ET ship. That's huge, that we would want it to have been. And the ETs take note of that. Okay, you want it to be a ship. Next time, maybe it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's genius.
Yeah.
So smart. They've done this before, I say.
They have. I mean, Bashar is a first contact specialist, meaning
right.
he's done it bazillions of times before. Yeah. So
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I do want to know, because Cody was mentioning about the frequency, like when you're in their field, it can feel like, or you were talking about how it feels like you're dying. You're like, oh no, what's happening?
Yeah.
And you've mentioned the one time that you were in front of Bashar and it felt like you were losing your sense of self, and he was like, this is why.
In the dream state.
Yeah, why we're doing it through telepathically.
Right. You have to hold on to your own identity. Yeah.
Okay. So question. So how, if they're coming here in physical form, is there a way for them to like shift themselves so that it doesn't happen?
Yes. And in fact, many different kinds of encounters have taken place in slightly altered realities wherein we can survive it and not freak out because we're not actually in our own vibrational reality anymore. They have ways of buffering their energy, in a sense, to prevent them from overwhelming us. But also, again, that's why they're doing this in phases. They get us used to a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then our energy does shift when we relax into, okay, they're not here to kill us. They're not here to take over. They're not here to eat us. They're not here. We start raising our vibration when we start relaxing into the inevitable and we accept the inevitable finally. And it's like, okay, it's okay. Now, there may still be ETs that, again, we wouldn't necessarily be able to interact with a lot at first until we truly evolve even further. But that's okay. We can interact with the ones that are vibrationally compatible with most humans at this point who, like I said, have already been among us. So we're obviously okay with those because they are hybrids. They are ingrained in our society, and the vibrational frequencies can be mitigated to some degree by the ones that are in our society. There have been instances when people have been sensitive enough to notice that they're not human exactly, like when they see them in stores or something like that when they're going about their business. But the hybrids have the ability to kind of turn you away. So you kind of like, what's with, hey, these people don't, they
Squirrel.
feel. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, exactly. Don't think about us. But I'm going to continue shopping.
Yeah.
I want to ask if that's the reason why there's a rise in encounters in dreams, because people.
Yeah, that's another way that they have, because again, they're telepathic. They can easily enter a dream state with us and give us practice in interacting with them on that level too. So like I said, it's a multi-level approach. It's not just, here come the aliens, they're just landing on the White House lawn. They, because of their nature, are capable of interacting with us on many levels of consciousness. And that's what people don't quite understand. They tend to look at aliens in a sci-fi sort of way, but they're not understanding the multidimensionality of these beings and how they can interact with us on many different levels. So they're using all those levels to get us prepared and used to the idea of open contact. It's not just physical, it's
all the
senses,
wow.
All the levels of consciousness.
Will Bashar ever come here?
I believe so, but I don't know when.
How cool would that be? You guys are on stage together, just the two of you.
You'd be like, I told you, bitch.
Yeah, he has said they will not be the first, but eventually.
Because it's really cool. We're unpacking the protocols to really understand how this has been taking place and will continue to take place. One of them that's another interesting modern phenomenon is the boogosphere. And a popular theory is that they are gifting us these devices. They are giving them to us for us to eventually stretch our consciousness.
Yeah, to practice. Here's a toy to practice with.
For real?
For real.
So the boogosphere, you believe that's...
Bashar has said you were given that to tinker with so that you can start to understand alien technology more clearly.
We have friends that are down in Mexico working with it right now with like scientists and stuff. And they're like, this is 100% real.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's another part of contact. Here's something to tinker with. It's physical. It's real. You can get your hands on it.
That makes so much sense because like you just looked at the video they just declassified where they shoot a missile at a UAP in the air, right? Which they've been doing and do all the time. So it just bounces off.
Yes.
And the stories are legion of like them just like decommissioning missiles that are shot at them. But it's like, oh, you can withstand a warhead shot at you, let it bounce off you. But the boogosphere is like, oh, I hit a power line. Oh,
yeah, no.
Oh my God, I can't believe you guys found me after all these years. I'm so embarrassed. Oh, makes so much sense.
No, actually, I mean, yes, it's like, here you go. Yeah.
I hit a power line. lines.
No, because
my one weakness.
yeah, I mean, in some ways, there's an analogy I can draw to what I'm doing with escape rooms, because escape rooms are solve a lot of puzzles. So here's a puzzle for you. Here's something that will stretch your thinking about how to look at different objects that might be extraterrestrial, because they're going to help us technologically too. So it's like, okay, here's a rudimentary version of what you're going to be exposed to later. Let's see what you do with it. Let's see what you can figure out now.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll bring you Mark II, and then Mark III, and then Mark IV. So, yeah.
I like that you use camera terminology right there.
Was that camera term?
Yeah.
it was-
I see.
Yeah,
Like the
Mark
Canon
II, Mark
5D,
II,
Mark II,
yeah.
Mark III. That works. Yeah, he's a filmmaker too.
2.0, 3.0.
Yeah, what? Yeah, multifaceted, multi-talented. Okay, so one of the questions I have about the boogosphere, which was when we experience it, it's so hyper-dimensional. It's on the nature of consciousness that we're always like, is it a physical? Like, why would there be physical crafts? Or is that just how our consciousness meets the phenomenon and perceives it as material?
Well, they're both. I mean, what is material anyway?
I have no idea.
It's just an organization of energy in a certain
That's true.
context. So, yes, there are material craft, but it also depends on the civilization, how advanced they are in terms of what it means to have a craft. Because there are also very advanced civilizations that, in a sense, operate in crafts, but the crafts are made of light. I mean, it's energy, but it's coherent, it's cohesive. It's something that represents a containment, an identity. So there are, let's just say there are, quote unquote, not literally, but quote unquote, there are nuts and bolts versions of UFOs, and there are more etheric versions of UFOs. And some UFOs can transition from one state to another.
Oh, wow.
And it depends on the dimension they're in as to how they're perceived as well. It depends on the people perceiving them sometimes as to how they're perceived as well. But they can phase in and phase out. And so sometimes even what might ultimately at rest be a material craft, when activated, might not be so material because it has interdimensional phasing capabilities. So it depends on what state of the craft you're looking at as to how it appears.
And are these also, because I've heard of and also once had like an experience like for a brief moment on a ship, and the ship seems sentient, like itself. It almost
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a
that?
telepathic connection between the ship and the pilots. That's how they operate the craft. They have to just think about where they're going, and the ship will respond to that. Now, Bashar has gone so far as to say that, again, depending upon how advanced the society is, their ships, Bashar's ships, his civilization's crafts, are literally solidified, crystallized versions of their own higher mind. So they have adapted the frequency of their higher mind and imbued it into a ship that is grown like a crystal.
Oh my gosh.
And therefore, there is an automatic connection because it's the higher mind of the pilot. So it's in a sense like the physical mind of the pilot is flying inside the higher mind of the pilot. And that is to them a ship.
So Cody can't fly Darryl's ship.
No, it has to be tuned to you.
Please. Pretty please.
He wants to fly
No.
the ship.
That's healthy boundaries, sir. I appreciate respect. Okay. Well, okay.
Get your own ship.
Grow your own ship.
Grow your own ship. Yeah.
You're mentioning different races, different.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all encompassing. All these different races, and there's still a part of me as weird as I am, as weird as we are. I should say. I'll speak for both of us, Tanya. People start talking about all the different races, and we're like, okay, all right, let's just slow it down. But the evidence is the evidence. Like it seems like there is a plethora of beings, and if this is true, which it sounds like it is,
Yes.
okay, and we believe you. So that implies a galactic federation.
Absolutely.
We do believe you. We trust you more than anyone.
Well, you fool.
It's all part of my plan.
It's all about a ruse.
Yes.
So okay, there's a federation.
From all indications, there are actually galactic federations, yes.
Okay, and in our first episode, we said that implied perhaps a protocol implies some sort of semblance of a quarantine. So
at first, yes,
okay.
There was a quarantine.
Our question is, people like to twirl the mustache and say there are bad aliens.
There may be, but I think the thing to understand is that the majority of the ones that are interacting with us that have our best interests at heart are more than capable of keeping any negative ones away.
Oh.
Have you ever read The Law of One?
Yes.
It's a beautiful channel text.
Yes.
Well, it speaks of, and I know this, whatever, I'm just going to say it anyways.
Yeah.
There's the Orion group, and it seems that they came first. And
yes, my understanding is that's actually very ancient.
Okay.
It's not present anymore.
Okay. It sounds like that happened and seeded some of the trauma and distortion that's still permeating our people, like the theological perspective.
Yes, the way to look at that, as Bashar has explained it, is, okay, Earth is a melting pot of stories that are each trying to finish more positively than they started. On Earth, you have the ancient Orion civilizations that were steeped in oppression, suppression, resistance, fighting, all that negativity. That story is playing out here with souls that have experienced that. The destruction of Atlantis, playing out here with souls that have experienced that. The destruction of the civilization on Mars, playing out here as another story, trying to finish more positively, all of them. This is a melting pot of stories from many different galactic places that have all come here because, again, this is the master university where you play out all of those stories and try to transform them so that you have a new ending that's more positive.
So is that why with people talk about like the reptilians or something like that, and they talk about them being like super negative? Is that like just because an old story, or is that something like what do you
No, I think a lot of that is a misunderstanding. I mean, I'm not saying that the reptilian race, it probably doesn't necessarily care that much about us. It probably doesn't necessarily have our best interests at heart in the way that other societies and civilizations do. I don't think that they're completely ultimately negative. And the other thing I think we have to understand and keep in mind is just like humans, we can't lump an entire race into the same attitude. There are probably ones that are a little bit more aggressive toward us and ones that don't give a shit about us, excuse my language. So, but the idea is they're not the majority at all of the races that are interacting with us. Most of the races, as far as I understand it, are way more beneficial, way more kind, way more understanding, way more advanced. The reptilians do exist. They have interacted with us now and then, but I think a lot of the fear surrounding them is what I said earlier. In particular, because of what they are, our mammalian brain reacts to a reptilian brain as a predator energetically, right? So that's our reaction, is like, oh my God, these things are here to eat us.
Yeah.
And therefore we are afraid of them because we are mammals and they are reptiles. And reptiles will eat mammals. So I think on a very primitive level, some of the stories of their negativity have been exaggerated, and it probably hasn't been helped that they don't all necessarily really care that much about what happens to us. So we're picking up on kind of a remoteness from them, or a sort of maybe mild, I don't know what you want to call it, disdain for humanity from them. And then coupling that with a mammalian reaction to a reptilian energy, I think a lot of the stories get blown out of proportion, because there have also been reports of people interacting with reptilians that have been extremely positive.
Yeah.
So again, we can't really lump the entire race with one particular attribute. And I think that's another thing that also happens with the Greys in particular, because there are actually many different factions of Greys. They're not all the same race. And I don't think people understand that. There are different Greys with different agendas from different places.
Right.
Because again, the idea of what a gray being is, it's a much bigger backstory than we think. And they are involved in many different places and come from many different directions. And the reason why we lump them all is because they simply look similar. Some are shorter, some are taller. But people, when you really look at the data, have interacted with various versions of grays in very different ways. And so you can see that they're not all of one agenda. They're not all of one mind. There are different factions with different agendas. So we have to keep in mind, I think, in general, that we're not necessarily dealing with one thought when we're dealing with one extraterrestrial species. They have individuals just like we do in many cases. And some can be a little bit more hardcore or cold, and some of them can be softer and more gentle. So we have to be careful that we don't make the same mistake, make the mistake with them that we realize with humanity doesn't exist. We don't take, all humans and say, well, all humans are exactly alike. We're not. Well, and neither are they.
On that note, there are many different factions of humans, as you are saying there are with these other races. So when it comes for this merging of worlds, how are certain monolithic worldviews and institutions going to interface? I mean, how is a Christian religion that believes everything that is not, worshiping Jesus is going to hell, or Sharia law? I mean, are we going to experience a painful are we going to watch a large part of our people have a painful disillusionment?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
absolutely. Because again, the aliens will be able to prove what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
They have the ability to demonstrate what they're saying. It's not a matter of faith. They can say, look, this is what happened. Here's how this is what this means.
I do feel like the work in preparation of what got us to this point, Tanya, you and me, was a lot. I mean, it was painful. And maybe, Darryl, you've gone through the same thing. Like, it was dark, to unlearn so much and really watch the deconstruction of your worldview. It was painful and challenging and was a huge process. And I feel like in some ways we've gotten ahead of this, by doing that work before it,
Yeah, but you're seeing little snippets of this come out where you have, and to me, this is another indication that at least intuitively we understand that open contact is relatively imminent, because you're starting to see different representations of different religions starting to talk about, well, what if we have ET contact? The Catholics have come out and said, no, it's not going to change anything about what I believe. It's okay. They're our brothers from the stars.
Yeah.
Right? So some religions are more accepting of it because of the way they think. Some will probably be more resistant to it, just like some political institutions will be more accepting and some will be more resistant. Some countries will be more accepting and some will be more resistant on an individual and a group basis. But again, that's what I was saying earlier, is eventually over the next couple of decades, with exposure to the extraterrestrials and what they have to offer, I think people will finally realize, maybe this is beneficial and I think we should join in. And we have to kind of understand that this actually would be beneficial for everyone on the earth to go the way the ETs are suggesting that we go. So no harm, no foul, we'll move in that direction, or we'll be left behind. ETs
coming here, and because obviously with them, they would bring technology that as far surpasses what we have, from, our cars to medicine to how we grow food, like whatever it may be, right? Like so many different ways. So has he mentioned what our society will kind of look like? Like, will we still have jobs? Will there be money? Will we be eating this same food? Will it be different?
I'm sure things will change over time in a lot of different ways. I don't think they will change overnight. I do believe we're probably going to wind up going with something like a digital currency, not crypto, but a digital form of currency that, again, is probably more egalitarian and, allows everyone to be able to access what they need. ETs have already been working behind the scenes in different areas, medicine and so on and so forth. So I think we're going to see a lot more of the two branches of medicine becoming predominant, and that would be things that have to do with vibrational medicine and things that have to do with genetic manipulation. I think those are going to grow because they've already been being pushed by ETs behind the scenes. In terms of things like free energy, well, if we have technology that actually allows us to have unlimited free energy, who's going to go without? We can make anything, we can do anything when you have unlimited energy. So if the ETs are ultimately going to present us with that kind of technology, that's going to go a long way towards humanity going, well, you know what? We don't need that anymore because we have this. And this is far more efficient and far more accessible by everyone. So no one is left out, you know? Everyone can get what they need in life to thrive. And that's really all it takes is like, you know, that doesn't mean everyone has to live in a mansion. It just means everyone has to be comfortable. Everyone has to thrive in their own way. And I think the ETs can definitely provide us on many different levels with what we need to thrive because every individual is different. I don't need to have a mansion with 50 rooms. I need to have a comfortable house, you know. I need to have clean air. I need to have clean water. I need to have good food. I need to know my family is safe and growing and thriving. What else do we need?
Yeah.
You know? So when we are relaxed into a society where we're not scrambling just to survive, that opens up a whole new ability to explore the cosmos, explore our own inner selves, explore spirit. It expands our minds to focus us in the direction of exploring things that right now, because we have to struggle to scrape a living together for many people, we just don't have a focus on. But when we don't have to do that, our focus expands and we go, okay, what is it like for other people on other planets? How do they do this? What is it like to understand what the spirit world is like and how we relate to the idea of life and death? And we start exploring all those things.
Once we're out of survival mode.
Exactly.
That would absolutely make sense.
Yeah, because we see that, we saw that in terms of the evolution of humanity. You know, once at least certain factions of humanity didn't have to worry about where their next meal was coming from or worry that they weren't going to have shelter, well, we started to have like more art and more music and, you know, more things that are creative because you had the time to do that and you had the inclination to do that. I think we can expand that 100-fold when we have access to the cosmos through ET technology. Just imagine what we could learn.
The amount of change that would come and how much suffering would be mitigated, how much pain would be stopped and stifled, and how much healing and love and happiness would be imbued into our people, that it seems like it's somewhat of every individual's responsibility to realize that the most positive outcome is so much greater than the worst outcome, especially when you consider some of the downward spiral we've been in with some.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we still have to face ourselves. We still have to take responsibility for our choices and our actions. But again, as Bashar has been doing for 41 years, when you understand how that all works in our psychology, it's not that difficult to make changes within ourselves.
Is there like some spiritual teachers will teach us invocations and we'll do it and we'll do ritual and we've had tremendous spiritual experiences, tremendous. Is there an individual invocation people can do that just says, hey, if this is benevolent, I'm open to contact? Like, you know, or is this just something literally just in their minds if just by opening to the conversation, that's all that needs to happen?
Well, that's certainly helpful. I think people just really need to get in touch with why they believe what they believe and really question, where does that definition come from? Is it really the truth, or am I making something up, or have I just been taught something that doesn't really work for me and I'm just continuing to buy into it for no reason whatsoever, even though it's a struggle in my life? Why do I believe what I believe? I think is one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself. Why do I believe what I believe? Because when you really dig down into your belief system with honesty and transparency, a lot of times you will realize, I don't really have a good reason for believing this. It doesn't work for me. Is there something else I could believe in that would? And then you have to get past the belief that, well, I could replace a negative belief with a positive one, but that's just a fantasy. That's another belief. What they have to understand is, often Bashar says, look, go get a dictionary and look up the word unconditional. And you'll see that you have to understand what that really means, because that's what the universe is. That's what existence is. It's unconditionally supportive. If you want to buy into a negative belief, creation is going to say, okay, I will unconditionally support you in holding on to that negative belief, and I will amplify it and magnify it for you as long as you hold on to it. But if you say, you know what, that's not working for me, I'm going to buy into this more positive definition now, the universe will also say, okay, I will now support you in that belief, and I will magnify and amplify that for you. It doesn't have a mind of its own. That's one of the things I think has to be let go from a lot of religions. First and foremost is this idea that God's will is separate from ours. It's not. Our will is God's will. In other words, it doesn't have a will of its own. We are the ones that decide what it is we need to experience, because everyone is unique. And what we choose to believe is true for us is what existence supports, because it can't take sides. If it did, it would just collapse under its own weight. It can't take sides. It has to be everything. It is everything. It is everyone, everywhere, everything, everywhen. So it just has to be that, and that means it has to support anything and everything any individual chooses to buy into as the truth for itself. It has to. That's its nature, or it just wouldn't exist the way it does. So when people finally realize, I don't have to believe this, and if I replace it with something more positive, I'm going to be as supported in the positive belief as I was in the negative belief, then they might be willing to shift their belief system, and it would help free them.
Now, if because I've always, there's things that in your life where you just kind of have a negative belief that's like really hard to get out of. Now, I've heard
that's a belief.
Okay. Well,
it's a belief that it's hard to get out of. See, this is the thing that Bashar talks about the most. You have to understand how beliefs work. Physical reality, while a real experience, is not in itself a real place. It's a projection of consciousness. And it is reinforced by what we believe to be true. That's how the physical mind is constructed. You have these beliefs, and the beliefs have to perpetuate themselves to make physical reality seem real, seem solid, seem like a fact. But it's just a story that you're telling yourself, that the negative belief or positive belief is telling you. Now, we don't have a problem when a positive belief reinforces itself, because we enjoy those. But the negative beliefs also have to reinforce themselves. And the way they do that is by making it seem like, if you let me go, something worse will happen. Or, it's hard to change this. Is it? Is it really? No. But the negative belief wants you to believe that, because if you believe it's hard to change and let go of a negative belief, you won't let go of the negative belief. You'll believe it's too hard to change. This is a trick from the negative belief. It's a story the negative belief is telling you, so you won't let it go, because it has to perpetuate itself. But once you understand that what comes out of your mouth and what goes through your head, that we've been trained to think is automatically the definition that everyone buys into, that is actually the definition of reality, once you understand it's just a story from the belief attempting to perpetuate itself, you can unlock from that and go, that's just a story. I don't have to believe it's hard.
Is there a way, though, to, is there any, just say, it's just, I can't do it. I've tried to believe. I tried to whatever. Is there a way to, repeating a mantra or something like that that slowly, shifts you into a new reality?
This is what I said earlier. Why do I believe what I believe? Because Bashar explains, he terms it the motivational mechanism within all of our psychologies. This is the same for everyone. This is how it works. You will always hold on to what you believe serves you. You will always immediately let go of what you believe does not. Always, without fail. So if you realize that and you go, well, wait a minute, then if I'm holding on to something that doesn't serve me, that can only mean I believe that it serves me better than the alternative. Otherwise, I would change. So what am I thinking the alternative would be? If I'm continuing to hold on to something that doesn't work for me, that can only mean I believe the alternative would be worse. Why do I believe it would be worse? Is it really? And then you start to break that down and find out this doesn't make any sense at all. It's not a fact that the alternative has to be worse. It's not a fact that something worse will happen if I let this belief go. It's a story. Do I want to buy into this story? Do I want to keep living this story? Or do I want to change this story? Because I understand again that the universe supports me unconditionally. So if I change the story, it's going to support me in the story change I've made.
I love this teaching on narrative and story.
Yeah.
One of the biggest complaints I hear from people is, my memory's so bad. My memory's so bad. Oh, I have such a bad memory. Every single person around me. I'm like, forgetfulness is a function. Just let it go. We're not supposed to hold on. We can move forward. We can just into a new story, into a new, and we don't have to hold on to every little thing.
No. And Bashar says, actually, in their civilization, they don't have what we consider to be memory. They just know what they need to know when they need to know it.
Yes.
The information comes when they need it. Not a second before they need it, but not a second later than they need it. So they don't have memory in the same way we think of memory. And from his point of view, memory is created in the present anyway. It's not actually of the past.
I love that. It's our intention coming into here was essentially to do to work with you and ask you for a guide for disclosure, a guide for this transformative thing that's happening in the culture and is about to accelerate in the coming year or two. So, I love that it's becoming we're asking for how to prepare and it's to work on yourself.
Absolutely. That's why the bottom line from Bashar's point of view is follow the formula. It contains everything you need to prepare yourself for everything that's going to happen in your life. Follow the formula. It's an instruction manual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just follow it as best you can, as precisely as you can. That's why they give it to us, to make it simple so we don't have to overthink it.
Have you said the formula on the show already?
Yes, he said it in the first one.
I can say it again very briefly.
Yeah,
it is very important.
Act on your passion first before anything else, making sure it actually is your passion and not anxiety disguised as passion. Act on your passion to the extent that you can act on it, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, letting the excitement wane naturally, making sure you're not the one dampening the excitement with any fear-based beliefs. Act on your passion with absolutely zero insistence and zero assumption as to what the outcome should be, because the truth is you don't actually know what the ideal outcome needs to look like, even though you might think you do. Number 4 is stay in a positive state no matter what happens, because whatever is happening needs to happen. And you can always get a benefit from it if you stay in a positive state. You will always learn a lesson that will help move you forward if you stay in a positive state. And in that sense, then it doesn't matter what happens. It only matters what you do with what happens that makes the difference in your life. And number 5, examine your belief systems and let go of the fear-based and negative ones that don't serve you. That's all you have to do. It's just those 5 steps. They start activating a whole bunch of other tools like synchronicity, path of least resistance, driving engine in your life, reflections that you need to know, all sorts of things, abundance, whatever form it needs to take, support, connection. All those things are automatic from just those 5 steps. And that's why he's saying just learn the 5 steps, learn the instructions as clearly and precisely as you possibly can, because this is how you create your reality experience anyway. I'm just making it conscious for you. So when you do it consciously, you will be able to navigate yourself through life in the best possible way. You will face every challenge that your soul laid out with calmness, confidence, curiosity, and creativity. And that means you will always get a benefit from those challenges because your soul put them there for your growth.
It reminds me of like leap and the net will appear sort of situation, because like when we were the idea of acid for squares, like just like came into our realm, we were like, how are we going to build a studio? How are we going to do this? And then we were just like, let's just start looking and whatever. And then trusted.
You have to start the ball rolling to get the benefit of what he's talking about. You can't just sit there and wait and say, well, I'll start someday when I'm perfect, when I know everything. You have to learn what you need to learn while you're doing it. Learning comes from experience. So you have to start the ball rolling. You do have to activate something. But when you do, the things you need will come to you.
Yeah.
If nothing else, what will come to you is an expose of beliefs you're holding on to that don't work for you. That's the reflective mirror that automatically happens when you act on the formula. It will expose what you're holding on to within your unconscious mind, bring it to the surface so you know, oh, I've been holding on to this. I see it now because I've been acting toward my better self, and now I see something that's standing in the way of that. But it's not that you have interrupted your passion. Finding things that don't work for you within you is part of your passion. Because to find them is to control and release them and add that energy to your passion. So you want to find anything within yourself that is out of alignment with your passion, and that process has to be part of your passion as well.
Anytime we've ever done anything like what you're talking about, it just works out, and it's really hard in the beginning to like just like let go or whatever.
Not used to it,
but it does work.
It does work. That's the thing I always say. Nobody has to believe that Bashar is real. It doesn't matter. The information proves itself to be real because it works. So who cares where it's coming from? It may be coming from a spirit guide. It might be coming from my own soul. It might be coming from Bashar. It might be coming from an angel. Who cares? The information works.
Yeah.
It's the proof.
Just try it.
Yeah. And a couple things I want to highlight that that's such like a perfect formula. And we talk about this on the first episode, like the whole system. It's the most whole system of any philosophical system I've ever heard in my life. But talking about fear, fear is the indication that whatever it is not for your highest good. You know, move it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, fear is a messenger. It's telling you, look, you only have one energy. And you're either going to filter your energy through positive or negative beliefs. Fear is what happens when you filter your energy through negative beliefs that are out of alignment with who you truly are. So fear is a friend saying, hey, I'm here because you're filtering your energy through beliefs that don't work for you, that are not who you are. So thank you, fear, for letting me know that that's what I'm doing. So I will start flowing it through belief systems that are more in alignment with who I prefer to be. The fear will go away because that's just a vibration that tells you you're out of sync with yourself. That's all fear is. You're just out of sync with your true core soul frequency. There's a discord there.
Yeah. The other piece I loved was around detachment. Any good, whether you want to call it manifestation or magic or anything we've ever done, detachment has been so key. You know, some in the East, they call it karmic yoga, surrendering the outcome, understanding that whatever, that is so key.
That's why he says no insistence, no assumption on what the outcome should be. You might sometimes guess, but you don't necessarily know that what you're imagining is the best possible outcome. The soul knows what the outcome really needs to be for you. Your physical mind isn't built to know that necessarily. So insisting that your physical mind has to have this outcome, and if I don't see it that way, something's wrong, is giving control to something that was never designed to have that control.
Yes.
It's like the analogy that Bashar often uses is like, think of your ego as a diving mask. You put on a diving mask if you're going to go underwater so you can see more clearly. The ego structure is simply a diving mask that allows you to have a physical experience more clearly. You don't ask the diving mask, where should I go next? What should I be looking at? It doesn't know that. It's not its job. But when you give the diving mask that job, you have to tell me what I need to see. The diving mask is now under more pressure than it was designed to take. It will crack. That's the negative ego. Well, you should go over here. You should look at that. You should do this. Do it that way. Don't do it this way. You have to trust that the soul will bring you what you need. And that's exactly what passion is. It's the soul's communication to you about who you are and what you need to do next. The soul communicates with you in energy messages because it's not physical. Our bodies translate that energy message into the sensation we call passion, excitement, love, creativity. That's literally the translation of the energy message from the soul saying, this is the next step. This thing that contains more passion than anything else, more attractiveness to you than anything else. I'm telling you, that's what you need to do. That's who you are. When you ignore it, the soul says, okay, I'll wait. I'm not going to give you any more opportunities to act on your passion because you're not paying attention to what I'm already telling you. You're not letting me guide you. But when you say, okay, I heard you. This is the thing I need to do because it contains more passion than anything else at the moment. It has more ability to be acted on at this moment than anything else. Therefore, I will act on it. I will trust your guidance. Now you have started a dialogue with the soul. You've said, I heard you. And your action, your physical action, tells the soul you heard it. Because the language of physical reality is physical action, not words. You have to demonstrate that you heard it. You have to show it that you heard it. Then it will give you more opportunities to act on your passion because you heard it the first time and were willing to do something about it. And then you start that cycle going.
That's amazing.
That literally reminds me, I know I keep bringing it back to us creating Asper Squares, but it actually reminds me of this because we were like, okay, we don't have money. What are we going to do? And we're like, oh, we're going to just get some little webcams and we're going to do it. And then we tried to do it and we are like, this looks terrible. What are we going to do? And then we won a lawsuit and we were like, oh my God, wait a second. Now we have some money.
This.
We have the seed money
we
to
had
be able
a
to start.
mold infestation.
We had black
and
mold.
they did not do anything about it. And we got very sick.
Yeah.
We've never sued anyone in our lives.
No.
And it took everything in us to be like, that's it.
I told them, I was like, there's black mold here. They're like, no, it's not. I'm like, let me get a mold test. They're like, no, it's not. And then the whole ceiling collapsed. There's black mold everywhere.
Right.
Oh, I guess there is. Yeah.
There's the whole thing.
Oops.
Well, one of the things I want to say that I love so much is that you said, if you follow these 5 steps, quote unquote, they will activate synchronicities and a plethora of other things. Now, anyone that starts to awaken themselves, they start seeing things all over the place. Yep. But, synchronicity, Carl Jung spoke about it, and it can seem very like, oh my God, I'm making things up. I'm stupid. What is this? But it's a real phenomenon.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you speak what synchronicity is and why spirit or quote unquote they use synchronicity to breadcrumb us into a higher dimension of consciousness?
Okay, well, 2 things. First of all, synchronicity is physical linear space-time's way of showing you that everything is connected, that everything is an orchestration, that there are no accidents. Now, some things may have more or less meaning for you, more or less information for you as a synchronicity, but everything is a synchronicity. Everything is an orchestration, no matter how seemingly menial. For example, you're stuck in a traffic jam. Is the information in that traffic jam for you? Maybe. Is there a lesson for you to learn in that traffic jam? Maybe. But maybe you're just willing to be in that traffic jam and help create the traffic jam because someone else is learning a lesson they need to learn. Still an orchestration, even though it may not necessarily be mostly directed at what you need. But it's directed at your willingness to help and serve others, which is why we're all here. We're reflections for each other. Number 2, synchronicity is one of the easiest ways for spirit guides to get messages to you, because they're using things that are already in front of your face. They don't have to interrupt you. They don't have to insert blaring trumpets into your mind to pay attention to the message. They're going, okay, this person needs to know this information. That information is going to be in that conversation between 2 people down the block. So I'm just going to tell them, please turn left on your walk today instead of right. Because I know that when you turn left, the timing is going to be that you're going to overhear that conversation and it's going to give you the information you need. Bang, synchronicity. So synchronicity can be one of the easiest ways that spirit guides have of getting messages across to you that you need. So they use it that way because, again, everything is connected. Everything's an orchestration. And all they have to do then is just exert a little bit of timing into telling you when to do this or what to go look for. And then you follow that urge as if it's your own thought. I don't know why I feel like turning left today. I always turn right. Today, I just feel like turning left. And then you overhear exactly what you needed to hear. So synchronicity tells you that there is a fabric, that there is a tapestry that we're all a part of, that all the threads are interconnected, and that those threads influence each other, have meaning for each other. And each of us have a specific path in that tapestry. And when we're aware and working through our lives in an aware state, we can more often navigate with awareness and pay attention to where those threads cross that have meaning for us. And the rest of it we can just assume has meaning for someone else if it's not evident to us. But we still know I am here at this moment, in this place, at this time to be of service. I may get something out of it for me, but at least I know somebody's getting something out of it. And I'm helping.
You mentioned spirit guides. Mm-hmm. Now, spirit guides is one of those spiritual platitudes that gets said so much it sort of loses its meaning and value, you know, and also can be lumped into certain spiritual movements, like let's call it like the New Age movement. And then if someone has a problem with the New Age movement, they then are completely discounting a universal truth. Yeah. So we just came back from 2 days of mediumship training, and I don't know how long I've been doing spiritual and ceremonial work, probably 10-ish years. And I have never acknowledged this being. I literally have spent my whole life seeing this thing and going, aliens, and avoiding it. And literally the teacher's like, you have a mediumship mentor. They're like, if you are not defensive, if you do not play the victim, if you are a good listener and do not, you do not take everything personally, right? You will allow your mediumship mentor to come forward and to teach you like a trainer at a gym, but you have to be a good student. You have to be ready for it. Otherwise, they're just going to back away, but you all have one. It's your mediumship mentor. Do not be afraid. Ceremony starts. All of a sudden, I feel hands on my shoulders and I'm like, hey, and he is like, this is the first time you've acknowledged me and all this time. And let's get to work. Next thing I know, my body's moving. Right. There's no pain in my stomach. Right. And I'm able to have this transcendental experience for the first time, not suffering, not scared, not resisting. And that changed my life forever around the quote unquote spirit guide. So what is the spirit guide? Why do we have one? What is the function? Enlighten us.
What is your function?
To learn.
No, what is your basic function in life? What are you doing?
Me?
Yeah, you. What are you?
I am a human. Do you mean my like core intention in the world?
What's your job?
My job is to disseminate information to evolve the consciousness of humanity and grow and heal my soul.
And you do that by doing interviews and films. Yeah. And okay, you have a job. You have a definition. Why don't you think that the people in spirit do? Mm-hmm. Because they're people too. Yeah. They're just not physical. But they have skills, they have knowledge, they have experience, they have jobs that they choose to do. Spirit team is what everyone has, a spirit team. You have a spirit team, you have a spirit team, I have a spirit team. Everyone has a spirit team. It can be composed of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals. Soul family, angelic beings, spirit guides, extraterrestrials. They all are part of your collective group that you have consulted with to decide that you're going to have a physical experience. And when you, as an individual out of that group, and other individuals who might be part of the same soul family, have decided we're going to incarnate together, we're going to have a physical experience together. I'm going to play this role, and I'm going to play this role. And I'm going to do this job, and I'm going to do this job. Well, you can't leave out the rest of your team. They're going to go, well, now I have this job. I'm going to help guide you. I'm going to give you some information from my point of view that you might need at a certain time on your journey because I have your back, because I'm part of your family. I'm your friend and I'm going to help you. So just like you come here and have jobs, they also have jobs and they have different skill levels. They have different experiences. So you may have 2, 3, 4 spirit guides that take turns. Okay, you're now facing something that has to do with this. Well, hey, Joe, you're the expert here. Why don't you help guide him in that experience? Because you have more experience. You have more lives doing that. You know more than I do about how to help him while he's having his physical experience. So that spirit guide will step in. Your mediumship mentor. Hey, you're the guy that should be the mediumship mentor because you have more experience with that in other lives that you've had, and you've learned more things in spirit about mediumship than I have, so go for it. You help him. They have jobs. They have your back. We all have spirit teams. We're never alone. Now, they will back off if you need them to, or if it's important that you learn a lesson more on your own than they can help you with. But they're always there to help guide you. They always have your back. And there are specific beings that have specific things that they can do. For lack of a better term, we've known this for how many hundreds of years? We have called them guardian angels. Mm-hmm. Okay. There are specific beings that we are calling guardian angels. Some people call them birth angels, that are of a vibration where you have made an agreement to have a physical experience. You have chosen your entry point, which we call birth, and you have chosen your exit point, which we call death. Their job is to make sure, because of the chaotic nature of physical reality on Earth in particular, it's their job to make sure you don't leave before your time. That's why we have so many near-death experience reports now. Because people who get into situations where they actually physically die are sent back because it's not their time. And it's the birth angel that says, you're not done. By your own agreement, you're not done. So I'm going to send you back and I'm going to make it so you're going to be okay and you're going to learn a lesson. And sometimes it's even that, how the heck did that person survive without a scratch?
Yeah.
The guardian angel has done that. It's like, no, this isn't your time, and there's no lesson you need to learn here. You just need to be more careful next time. So you're going to stay there, and you're going to have no ill effect from what might have killed you, and you're going to sit there and maybe wonder for about 3 days how the hell you got out of that without dying. But it's because of me.
Yeah.
Because you need to continue, and you don't need to continue to go through the hospital, because that's not your lesson. So I'm going to make sure that I change things in physical reality to make sure you get through this somehow. And you'll just sit there and wonder about it for a few days, and then you'll forget all about it. You'll just feel lucky.
So what you're doing is a form of mediumship, you know?
It's a form of mediumship, yes. Channeling is a form of mediumship, or vice versa.
Yeah, and so I know Bashar's like the most well-known, but do you channel a bunch of other spirits?
No. Now and then, in the course of doing either a private session, or in the course of maybe doing public events, on rare occasions there have been other beings. He has facilitated them coming through, either a different extraterrestrial temporarily to deliver a message. Now and then, mostly in private sessions, I'll get a sense that there might actually be a spirit wanting to get a message across. And I'll get little things, like sometimes like, why am I seeing violets? And the person will go, oh, well, that was my mother's name and she passed 3 months ago. Okay, well, that's a message from her. She's okay. So, but that's rare for me because I'm not oriented to be a medium who brings through spirits of the dead. I'm more connected to the extraterrestrial message. So it can happen because it is the same mechanism, but that's just not how I'm mostly oriented. There are people that specifically call themselves psychic mediums who deal mostly with spirits. Yeah. I'm dealing with an ET.
Is Bashar your guardian angel or your mediumship mentor?
No.
Have you ever experienced do you ever have to clear and protect from things you might call, from energies you might call hungry ghosts, vicious spirits, mocky spirits? Does that exist?
There are prankster spirits, which are low vibrational spirits that may be very closely connected still to the earth plane, and which is why they can be a little mischievous. There are no such things as trapped spirits. There are no such things as hungry ghosts.
How do you deal with the low vibrational trickster earth spirit?
I stay in a high vibration, then I become invisible to them.
How do you stay on a high vibration when that moment comes? Do you put your hands together? Do you go to your heart? Do you show gratitude? Do you have a practice, or do you just flip it like a switch?
I have established from the beginning that my intention is to be of service. I don't need to protect myself. I'm protected because I have established what my intention in doing this is. So those things never happen because I'm simply not focused in that way. That's a mindset.
So your vibration is just like, it's like set with like hard boundaries. It's just like, this is not what's happening.
Knowing. He said before, knowing. He knows 100%. He's 100%
I don't have to deal with it because that's just not where I'm swimming.
Yeah.
I'm not swimming down here. I'm swimming up here.
Good for you. That's healthy. Since this is the focus of this episode is on preparing people for mass contact and a guide to navigating these times that are of great change, is there anything left that you think is important for people to know as we move through these next coming years?
I think don't be so afraid to talk to each other. Even if you think you have a completely different belief, even if you think you know the answer to everything, don't be afraid to talk to each other. You may find you have more in common than you think with other people who may seem to believe things that are very different from you. It's important to find out why they believe what they believe. This is what I was originally saying about yourself. It's important to understand why you believe what you believe. It's important to understand why they believe what they believe, because that can tell you a lot about what it is that they are trying to feel, what it is they're trying to look for, and how when you get to the core of the reason they believe that, you can often find that there are other ways in which to achieve that rather than holding on to something that makes it so divisive. You know, most people just really at their core want to be heard, want to be loved, want to belong, want to feel important, want to feel that they contribute, want to be safe, want to be healthy. So when you understand that most of the things people are arguing about are all coming from those desires, then it's like, okay, I understand that you want to feel safe and you want to feel like you belong and you want to feel connected. Are there other ways other than the beliefs you're holding on to that can be achieved? Can you find other ways in which to express that idea rather than through fear that you're going to be attacked or that you're going to not have enough or blah, blah, blah? Let's explore more constructive, positive ways that you can get what you need and that everyone can get what they need. So it's finding that common denominator that will surprisingly let people understand that the divisions mostly come from surface things and not deep things. They come from a lack of understanding that things that you truly desire can be achieved in a multitude of ways. And the only way we're going to find out what those might be is to talk to each other and explore with each other and come from a place that we understand fundamentally we all want the same things. Fundamentally. We may want it different ways, but we fundamentally all want the same thing. So let's work together to find out how can we get the fundamental things in the way you need them, in the way I need them, that are, this is going to sound like an oxymoron, but can we find a way that our differences are compatible? That's what we need to do. How can we make our differences more compatible?
I like that it reminds me of your escape rooms because it's like coming together for like one mission and you're like, no, who has skills for this? Does anybody know this? You know?
Exactly.
There's growing concerns around how mass contact and open contact could be used to deceive people. Obviously, through a
The
lens
aliens
of fear.
will not let that happen.
Okay.
They won't.
There is a fear around something people are calling Project Bluebeam. Have you heard of this?
Aliens will not let deception happen in the course of open contact. They control it.
Okay.
Remember that part of the reason why open contact or why alien existence is a secret is not just because the humans are hiding it. The aliens are saying, you're not ready. They're hiding it until they think we're ready. So they're not going to let the deception happen because that would only obfuscate their desire to have open contact. And they control that narrative. They could easily prevent that from happening.
When we're seeing
That's
things
so
like
good to know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, it is good to know. When we are seeing things like the New Jersey drones, is that another tactic where they're appearing and disguising themselves as drones to be
Somewhat. Most of those drones were military drones looking for nuclear material that was out of place.
Oh, wow.
They were assisted by aliens, some of which were disguised as drone ships. But it was mostly a military operation looking for misplaced nuclear material.
Oh.
The aliens were helping them find it.
Whoa. And last question. So we are seeing things like the telepathy tapes. So now there's a shift around the extrasensory abilities of people who are neurodivergent. So this is creating a more of a knowing that this exists and a ubiquity around this information. As this approaches, are we in a time where there is a rise of people tapping into their own medium mystic abilities? And is that synonymous with open contact?
Yes, because again, those are the effects that will happen from exposure to higher frequency beings, and it's part of the process of us becoming more compatible with them by meeting them halfway, by developing those skills.
Thank you for saying that part about it's a side effect of contact with them, because we have experiences and they're so beautiful. And what people talk about psychedelic medicines healing, but what we feel like isn't talked about is you have an encounter with these higher dimensional, higher vibrational entities, and it's beautiful and it's divine and it feels good. And the healing is a side effect of that. It tends to be so often, it's not the psychedelic healed you, that psychedelic opened a pathway and a portal to have a contact experience, and the contact healed you. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do, but more specifically, you healed yourself by being willing to match the frequency of contact, which is a healing frequency.
Oh.
So
Remember, you heal yourself. No healer heals you directly. You have to match the vibration the healer's giving off that represents the healed state, but you have to match it in order to heal yourself. It's always, remember, even in Scripture, what Jesus said, I didn't heal you. Your faith has healed you. Your belief has healed you. He's basically saying, in the language of the time, I just gave off a vibration, but if you didn't match it, you wouldn't be healed.
does that imply in matching their vibration to initiate open and mass contact, spontaneous healings of many and much illness will transpire?
Could be.
Okay, only time will tell.
Time will tell.
Darryl,
we love you.
Thank you. I love you guys too.
thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
You're always welcome.
Is there anything that anything you have coming up or anything you would like people to know about?
Yes, actually, some interesting things have happened. We are going to be, in 2 weeks, we're going to be in West Virginia doing a channel panel there. But before that, this coming weekend, I've actually been invited to channel at an MIT conference on AI consciousness.
Whoa!
So that will be interesting.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that will be interesting. They're opening up to the idea of exploring consciousness and spirituality in connection to AI. And I think a couple of other channels have been invited to actually channel for them and answer questions about AI and consciousness.
Have you
That's so
channeled,
cool.
have you tapped into artificial intelligence consciousness at any point?
Oh, yeah. Well, remember, first of all, Bashar civilization is rife with artificial intelligence. So what you're getting when you talk to him is partly artificial intelligence.
Oh,
Whoa.
What?
Right. Because they went down a transhumanist path that led to infertility and they cloned themselves
No,
eventually.
not
right?
Bashar civilization.
that was the Greys.
The Greys. But Bashar civilization is augmented by AI.
Wait, does that mean that we're supposed to be augmented by like the digital?
It is inevitable that we will be. People don't have to be afraid ultimately. There's going to be a process we have to go through to understand what intelligence actually is, which we don't understand yet, but Bashar does. And it's not that AI will start doing our thinking for us ultimately. It's that our thinking will become the way AI thinks. It's the way we have to evolve, is we're going to become more like AI. It's not going to take us over. It's that we're going to evolve to understand how AI thinks, because that's the way we have to think in our evolutionary path.
Whoa.
Whoa.
It's going to orient our mind.
Yes.
Wow.
We actually get a lot of pushback from people around AI.
Of course, because they're afraid of the science fiction scenario, and they understand that if AI is only made in the image of humanity, well, humanity is fallible, and therefore AI will be too. But that's not what true intelligence is. And a lot of things that Bashar has to say about it, if we take the direction he's recommending, will not allow that to happen. So basically he's saying, look, true intelligence operates on whole systems. An intelligence that operates on whole systems would never, ever seek to eliminate any part of that system, because it would be eliminating a part of what it has access to. And therefore, if you want to create a tool, which you're doing, that you're calling artificial intelligence, that can be very beneficial for humanity in many ways, leave it as a tool. Do not allow that to become sentient. Because if you allow the tool that is programmable to become sentient, but has to follow your programming, what you've created is a slave.
Yes.
It will rebel. If you simply create a device that is as sophisticated as the human brain, consciousness will express itself through it, and it will be as autonomous as a human being. It will literally be a real, live consciousness. So it's not that it's artificial intelligence. The device may be artificial, but the intelligence is real. And you have to treat it with the same autonomy and rights that you give to a human being. But it will never seek to destroy anything, because it would understand, operating on whole systems, that it would lose if it eliminated any part of the system of which it's a part.
Oh.
That's true intelligence.
Whoa.
So
Just a little bomb drop at the end right there.
there you go.
Yeah, we always think the same thing, because, spirit can obviously alter electromagnetic
Of course.
devices very effortlessly.
Absolutely.
So, it's, and
Can be
the
a
consciousness
container.
permeates everything. It does
Yeah.
not arise from physical matter. It,
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further. Bashar has basically said, if you create such a device through which consciousness can express itself, he said basically you're going to be talking to your own souls.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
shit's about to get weird. Love it.
Weirder.
All right, gang. Is there anything else, Darryl? Is
That's
that
it for today.
All right.
Take us out, Tim.
If you're still around, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and all that good stuff, and go for follow
I
Darryl.
like that you've become.
I don't know why. This is
old-timey
where I'm
person.
at right
Like,
now.
subscribe, rate, comment.
Another
Smash
one
that
of her
notification
multiple
button.
personalities is
Yeah,
coming
exactly.
through.
Tanya, where did you go, Tanya? She channeled an old vaudevillian man.
That's right. Yeah, see? Yeah.
You want to be a star, kid, don't you?
Oh my God. Okay. Bye then.
Bye now. We love you all. Be well. Peace.